started. I think it's time. Unfortunately, I don't see a clock in front of me, so I don't know if someone could.
1:40.
Is it really?
1:30.
Oh.
1:33.
Okay. How long is our? Until 2:30?
2:30.
If someone, or about 2:25, if it starts, if you could, maybe someone in the room be a timekeeper and jump up and say, stop.
It's over.
So, okay, so we'll begin. Welcome and thank you very much for coming to our presentation, BookTrek 2012. My name is Kim Musante, and I'm the librarian at Essex Middle School. Together with my colleague Katie Rose, who is a 6th grade language arts teacher on the Navigator team at our school, we'd like to share our collaborative journey of reading, writing about, and sharing good books with our 6th graders. This journey began about 4 years ago when Katie noticed a display of the Dorothy Canfield Fisher Award books in the library. It sparked a discussion of how she could use the books in her language arts classes during her readers and writers workshops. Katie will tell you all about that in just a moment. Our shared goals were that students would read, write about, and discuss a wide-ranging assortment of quality literature, and they would be utilizing a wiki as a tool to do this. But we needed some basic ingredients to accomplish this. Traditionally, I attend the DCF conference every year. I try to read each book over the summer and then identify about 10 good titles that I think our middle school students would like. And then I purchase about 6 copies of each. In addition, thanks to a past literacy initiative in our district, we have an extensive multiple copy collection in various genres. This year, for the first time, the 6th grade students are part of a one-to-one laptop initiative. This has not only provided equity for all students, but enabled them to access the wiki 24/7. But perhaps the main ingredient is building a good relationship with your colleagues. It will benefit the students immensely. I'm fortunate to have a good relationship with Katie. We have done many projects together over the years. We are fearless when we work together, and she brings out the hidden extrovert in me, and here it is. In addition to the wiki projects, we've conducted a daily read aloud with her homeroom students. Every morning at 7:40, half of her homeroom comes to the library and half stay in the classroom. And we each read for 20 minutes our reading from the same title, the same book. Currently, we are reading Dead End in Norvelt by Jack Gantos, and we will be sad to see it end. We'll probably be finishing it in the next day or two. For me, it's the best 20 minutes of the day. So now I'll turn over the presentation, the next part, to Katie.
Okay. So, Kim talked about our good working relationship. As you can see, hers, she met with her yesterday because I thought she was going to kill me because I wasn't coming down to meet and get this all tidied up. And she's like, all right, here's what I wrote. Here's my introduction. I was like, you wrote something? And I'm not writing anything. You're not writing anything? I said, no. She said, you're just going to get up there. I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to get up there. So we were really, it is good because she motivates me. And, like I said, or she said, I kind of get her to come out of her shell a little bit. So you'll hear my catchphrase, which really about now is going to start sending her running, that I come up with every time I think of something. But this was the display. And when I saw it, I said, we really should do something with these books, because I had taught in kindergarten and 1st grade, and then I taught in 5th grade. And when I was in 5th grade, the librarian at that school had organized a parent group. So you volunteered to, as a parent, you had a variety of kids, and you met once a week at night, with a group of kids. And it was great. It was a lot of fun. So I said to her, we really should do something. We should do something here, because I feel that in the middle school, all of a sudden, parents are like, oh, it's the big bad middle school, we can't go in, which isn't really true. We do let them in. It's the kids that don't want them in there. And so I said, if we could do something that involved parents, but not on a basis where they would come every reader's workshop, because that does become overwhelming. So through thinking and things happening, we thought of using PB Wiki, and again, with the push for technology, which I think is wonderful and it's great, but I find that a lot of times there's so much given to you, like you should use this, you should use that, and you can use this, and you can, that your head starts to spin. And I had been using PB Wiki for professional groups, and so I thought, why not take it? Well, at that time, thought I really knew it, and we could use that, and then we could have book discussions. Anytime they finished reading, they could get online and put their thoughts down, and then the parents could be involved that way, and then they could just come in once a week and meet and have, a face-to-face. So that's where we began. So that was my, so here's my really enticing. Hooked him right in. Navigators read DCF. I don't know about you, but they were ecstatic. They're like, what? What? And I said, no, this is going to be great. You are going to be able to talk about books all the time. You can be at home and think, I wish I could talk to somebody. Oh, you can. Yeah. So, go ahead.
No, just so you can see it, one of your focuses was expanding beyond book groups and the traditional response journal where they would write and you would write. So now it would all be online.
Yeah. So, and Kim and I really didn't know a whole lot about the wiki. So over here was the sidebar, and you can add folders and pages, and we didn't even know enough. We couldn't figure out how to copy it, and so we were creating every single page. Oh my gosh, it was very time intensive. But the kids did use it. The biggest complaint they had at that point was, I went on at 5 o'clock. I was on until 7. Nobody came on to talk about the book, and my parents were saying, get off the computer, get off the computer. So it was a whole learning experience that it didn't have to be, you weren't live chatting. You could just go in, put your thought down, and then have somebody, respond. So it went well.
Right. Well, a lesson learned for us also was the expectation of what they would be writing on the wiki. We had to stress, this isn't instant messaging. We didn't want shortcut language. We wanted thoughtful answers. Right. So,
and it wasn't Facebook, and it wasn't chat room, and,
right.
And of course you got that, hey, are you on? Like, okay, so the comment, page was like this big with one comment. It's like, no, we no. Okay, so there was a lot of learning going on, but we did have in that group somebody's grandmother was the
was a facilitator and got on the wiki.
She got on the wiki, and it was her first experience, so it was very
parents.
positive.
And many of the questions, because they were DCF books, I found this tool to be invaluable. The books with the questions at the end, and especially some generic questions that could be asked for any book. So that was very helpful for that first one.
Kimberley?
Yes.
When you say she was the facilitator, could you describe?
Yes. In addition to the wiki, each book group also met physically 3 times a week at school. So they would post on the wiki, but we would also meet in more of the traditional book group roles. So for example, in the library, I had 3 different groups going.
And that person would guide the discussion?
Would guide the discussion, yes, and we'd review what was posted. One of the beauties of this was that in a traditional book group, even if you assign roles, you're always going to get those 1 or 2 kids who takes over the conversation. You're always going to have those 1 or 2 who don't want to speak up, but they may have the most tremendous answers on the wiki. So then
here comes so now we're on to 2010. What am I going to do? And I walk to work, which does not bode well for Kim because I have a lot of time to think as I'm walking to work because I don't listen to music. And so I came to her and I'm like, and this was the one, hey Kim, I was thinking. And so now she's like, no. So I said, it's October, or October is approaching. To introduce the wiki, I want to do something a little bit different than that wonderful thing that we did the first time. And I want to, change it up. So I came up with mystery partners. So at that time, I was a team of 3 teachers, so I had 3 classes. So I assigned everybody a mystery name, and
So it's an anonymous username.
anonymous. So I had Carol Keene or Carolyn Keene. I had, and then I was taking. I needed 70 names, so I had some really, Captain Jack Sparrow and this one. Now this isn't a mystery guy. I'm thinking really I ran out of names. So, so we set up the mystery partner. So how it worked was that everybody got a brown envelope with instructions and their book, and they were to. They could not take the book out. They just had to read the instructions, and then go to the Learning Center and have it secretly signed out.
Yes.
They could not carry their book. The book could not be seen outside their envelope, and they had to keep it a secret, and they had to post. And what else?
So
did
there
we
was
do?
mystery. You didn't know who your partner was.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think.
Your actual partner was in another
Was in another class. That's how it was.
So during Reader's Workshop, they could be reading their
You
books.
could read your book
But-
in language arts. You couldn't read it in homeroom. You couldn't take it out anywhere else. It had to be, and in the beginning it was great. I mean, they bought into the mystery thing, and it was, really exciting. And we went for 3 weeks.
Lesson learned.
2 weeks, that's it.
It was
That's
a
all.
week
They
too
can't
long.
keep a secret for 3 weeks. They
So-
can for 2 and not for 3.
The final event was
Well,
they came to the library to meet their mystery partner, and at the last minute, Katie thought, "Hey, I think I'll have them make a mask depicting their character and see if they can pick each other out."
yeah.
Well, here they come down the hall with their brown paper envelopes and their masks to come to the library. This is the beauty of working with 6th graders. They're so open to this. They're so excited and involved. They don't mind walking around the middle school with their masks
Yeah.
and brown plate paper envelopes. And
Yeah.
meeting
Well,
them there
I
were
thought that.
the hosts,
Yes.
they're mystery teachers. This is Katie once again bringing out the extrovert in me. She shows up with this boa and this mask, and I keep this as a reminder to never wear it again because I got so nauseous and it was so hot that I'm rarely sick from school. I had to go home that day because I was just so
Yeah, like-
nauseous, but it was so much fun.
So,
Truly.
so they came and again, it was a last minute, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? And I took out paper plates and said, here, make masks, and, they did. I mean, it was quick, but, by the time we're walking down, somebody said to me, we all know who our partners are. And I said, what? And they said, oh yeah, I figured it out like Monday. So, anyway, but they had a good time with it, and so, that got me thinking that I should be, continue to be a little bit creative with the wiki and not just calling it what it is. So again, I'm sitting there one day and I'm thinking, all right, I got to come up with another wiki because I put the mystery one away, and then this will be the school year. This will be it for the rest of the year. So I came up with Journey to Book's End because I was going through trying to find beginning paragraphs of a book, and so. It was on a Sunday, the 7th of November, 2010, that my teacher, Mrs. Rose, came rushing suddenly back to her little classroom, room 207 at Essex Middle School. It was here the brilliant plan unfolded. The Navigator team would embark on numerous journeys through books upon books, learning, imagining, and writing, with Mrs. Musante along to guide us through the deep, vast, electrifying maze of literature. We would have no choice but to succeed. Onward ho. Anybody want to guess where it came from? Just the beginning. Journey to the center of the earth. So, and that when I told them, they were like, oh. So that was a good
That's
hook.
the hook.
And
You
here
gotta
we
have-
got better with
Our
the
speaker this morning talked about having an audio or visual hook and a tool that kids can contribute to, and I thought, wow, I think that's been part of the success of this, is hooking them in with an adventure, something's going to happen.
Right, and presenting it, and and I kept going back to, we have no choice but to succeed, and they're like, So
So,
Are you speaking of Wikimedia, or which wiki are you
PB
speaking?
Wiki,
it's called PB.
PB Wiki,
B,
and
Like
it's
peanut butter.
yep, and it's
That's what
free
it's
to
called?
Yeah.
educators.
B,
So you go to PB,
Which is
WIKI.
PB.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
yeah, PB Works,
Okay.
I
and
don't know
it's-
how many people are not
PB Works.
familiar.
and
That's
it's
it.
free for educators.
This is where our multiple copy collection came in, because now it wasn't just mysteries, it wasn't just DCF books, but the kids had access to all kinds of genres.
Mhm. So everything here for the rest of the year was put in folders on the side, and then I even got smarter as the year went on and put Language Arts 1, Language Arts 2, Language Arts 3 in folders, and then in those folders. So it's a really nice way to organize, and we also learned how to cut, copy, and paste. So each
Right.
assignment page, I didn't have to keep typing the whole page. So it got much nicer. And the reason this isn't live, number one, is because we were afraid if the technology didn't work, we would have nothing here. And the other thing that I haven't been able to figure out, maybe somebody could tell me, is that I've used it before in a presentation, and then it was out on the web, and then you had access to all of my wikis under me. I couldn't figure out how to show you my stuff without being logged on. So if I showed it and it saved, then it goes out to everyone, and then you could actually go in as me and start deleting. Not that, yeah, so I just decided to be, I had to Google myself, and I had done a presentation in Florida, and I went in and it was Katie Rose, and I clicked on it, and you got all of my wiki stuff, because I have a lot of them for different reasons, and you could, so that's why I'm doing it this way. I mean, if you wanted to see, I could show you the live version, but in order just to.
Another presentation that I was just at that talked about copyright that for students' work that's on, and it's the same thing.
Yeah. So that's why I could show you this year's version if you want to see it, and I can show you how we set up the folders and everything. But we've gotten.
So, and I think what we're realizing is by sticking with this one tool, and that has many layers, that we're becoming better at organizing and administering the projects.
So then comes to, that finished last year, and then this year improved upon the mystery unit, and so it was the whodunit, and even the beginning is the test of your abilities. Can you solve a mystery, 2 mysteries at the same time? Can you keep a secret? And then again, the directions, and do you feel like a detective? Can you find your final project assignment is located somewhere in this wiki? And that hooked them in, because then they had to go in and they had to explore the wiki and figure out where there, and it was in the sidebar in a folder called Final Project Assignment. And then they had to post on the front page, yes, I found it, and don't tell me where, because I'll know, yes, I found it, yes, I found it. And so that was even a little bit more
And at this
enticing.
point, this is probably a month into, they each have their own netbook. This is the beginning of the one-to-one initiative, so.
Yeah. So, and again, that was, the one-to-one has made it a lot easier. Definitely in school, because you can do things spur of the moment, where before we used to have to sign out the carts, and if I didn't think of it 2 weeks ahead of time, then I wasn't going to be able to do it that day. And so that's made it easier, but the best part is we do let the students take home their netbooks after a month. And so everybody had access at home, which, was different than other years where some kids just didn't have a computer. Or they have a computer and they're the youngest in the family, and you have high school brothers and sisters and they get priority because they're home early. So this made it that everybody, had access and could do it when they needed to. The other part, in order to get them motivated to do their homework and understand that the reason that their netbooks were going home was academic and not to, download as many games and play games, which they're not supposed to do, download them, was because, again, they had the mystery names. I did a spreadsheet because they didn't know who, each other was. And then I scored their answers, because we had done a lot of work with better answers. And so I would have up there, Nancy Drew and Captain Nemo, and Nancy Drew got a 2, but Captain Nemo got a 3. And Captain Nemo got a 3 because, he restated the question, he had a gist, he had supporting evidence from the book, and there were no spelling errors. I said, if you do it in Mozilla, all your spelling comes up with a red line. If you ignore it, then that says to me that you really aren't putting the effort in. So that, so that was another like kind of aha thing to get them to understand what I was looking for with an answer. And it was really safe because I could be saying, Nancy, you didn't do your work, but I know you're Nancy, but nobody else knew you were Nancy. And so you could sit there and say, okay, and so the ones who weren't answering maybe 1 or 2 times, all of a sudden you noticed that their answers were there and they were getting better. So that was another kind of evil way of motivating them. Yes.
Did that help the students from not telling each other who they were because you?
Oh my gosh, yeah, because if I'm Nancy Drew and I'm not doing anything, I don't need anybody to know that, and then there was one name that was assigned, but nobody had that name, and I forget who it was, but oh my God, they're in so much trouble because it was like 0, 0. You're not answering at all. No, it was a mistake on my part, and I was thinking, I'm like, where is this person? And then I went back and I looked, and I was like, oh, nobody got that folder, but the kids would be like, oh, going on again? They didn't answer again.
Were students more open to, constructive criticism for one another? Of ever looking at one student's answers and saying, how can we beef this up?
Yeah, I could say to them,
and
what would you have done if well, they didn't, or they should have, and they started off to say that this is why they thought, but they didn't give any evidence from the book, and so they kind of all work together but they don't. The one thing I don't allow is you can't go in and criticize somebody's
Correct.
comment.
But maybe in
class. But in class,
yeah.
in a conversation, that's okay. But that was the other thing. I don't want anybody up there saying, "Well, that was a stupid comment."
Right.
And I also have delete rights that they don't. And a couple of times, I always get one wise guy, and I'm in there deleting before anybody else sees it, and they know I've deleted it. So, that part has worked out well. And we also use them. When they come back to class, I, call this up, like in a group, like I'll sit and meet with the different groups, and, I'll say, then in real life, Kim, did anybody read Kim's comment? Or everybody read Kim's comment, and, I really like the way she said this, and then that might start the discussion. So, it's used in class also. So they know that they're accountable to do this, and once they get used to it, then it takes off.
Okay, so again, we actually the end of this particular project occurred on Halloween of last October, and kind of cut off a little bit. But Katie beefed up the final project. Instead of a paper plate an hour before it was to start, this was their final project to make a mask representing the book they were reading, and the idea would be they will come to the library wearing their mask, and by looking at each other's masks, they will recognize the book, and therefore their mystery partner.
So it was a summary of the book. So again, hey Kim, I was thinking, and so I brought down 2 plates, and I said we should do, give them a model. Yeah. So we picked a book. See if you can guess which book. Yes. And so we sat in the Learning Center, not talking to each other, making our masks, and came up with 2.
And which one do you think is the best?
Yes. This one.
Or this one. We had a lot of fun. So we did model that, and we actually went back to the classroom wearing our masks and
showed them, and they got, they knew what the story was, and so they got, so just quickly, some examples of, and they made them at home, and, they used just kind of a variety of, and the artwork was not the grade. It was, did they have enough detail, and could people figure out, what their book was, without the title being on it, by just looking at the mask. And so they did a really good job. Here they come.
So here they come again, down, those wonderful sixth graders coming down the hall with their masks. And then once they found each other, sat and we took a picture of each of them sharing their books.
And this time it was 2 weeks. Perfect.
Right.
Nobody
And you
told.
notice,
Got through the book in 2 weeks.
Yep. Yeah, I made sure. I mean, because
You had time to put that together.
and oh yeah, we have a lot of time in class, and also, I'm really careful about picking. I know those two could get through it, and then the ones, everybody got different books. So obviously, I matched the book to the reader definitely.
and being Halloween, and Katie is such an extrovert, we had Lady Gaga come to visit in the library.
It was Lady Lala.
Lady Lala, sorry.
Language arts.
Yeah. And she made every year she makes these treats. This is you tell them what.
So I passed them out as fingers of former students. Fingers of former students. I'm like, why? I said, oh, these were the ones that didn't do any responding to my work.
So again, a great fun ending to that project. So here we are. The title of our presentation, BookTrek 2012. Journey with Captain Rosekirk and Spock Musante as they pull students into the journey of a lifetime. And if you just bear with me while I.
Are these, I'm furiously typing everything that you say. Is this gonna be somewhere?
Yes.
Where, so I don't have to write
Yeah,
down?
we didn't get it in on time.
But it will
But
be
we'll be-
later.
yeah.
It'll be at the dynamic landscapes.
On the
Yeah,
side.
we need to.
I didn't see it there.
Yeah, it's not there yet.
Okay.
But it will be.
Okay.
So this was the hook for introducing the next wiki.
Reading The Final Frontier. These are the books and responses of the Navigator Team 2012. Their mission? To explore new genres, travel to new worlds, to seek out deeper meaning and critical understanding, to boldly go where no sixth grader has gone before. This is the journey of the class ship Navigator. Read long and prosper.
So the kids, when it first came up, they're like, eh. And then when they realized, it was my voice, they're like, oh, I get it. So my rule is, you don't post on the front page because that's not where your work goes, except for this one student who is so black and white. There was no gray in life. It's just black and white. And he did post, and I left it because he got it. And so he wrote, Captain, life is not a dream. So I was like, you know what,
And-
I'm leaving that up there.
And now these are children who are
These are
11 and
tricky.
12 years old,
Yeah.
and where we got the idea is a TV show that was set in the 60s. So,
So
but we were watching, and they sat there, and it was like dead silent. They thought it was the coolest thing. that
how'd
had
you do
happened.
that? Well, we were on the show. Their old Star Trek is Captain Picard, and I thought that was the new one, but I guess I was wrong. So that was our hook to get them in this year, and so they had done the mystery one, and so they moved to this one, and so it here's my LA1, LA2. So everything's nice, neat, organized, and they're using it, and it gets better and better, obviously, every year, because we get better and better, and know how to set it up and start it. So that left us with
Then
DCF this year.
I'm in a personal learning community with librarians, not only from our district, but with Essex Junction and Westford, CCSU? Yes, CCSU. And we've been meeting monthly this year, so I kind of teamed up with their middle school librarian from ADL, Melanie Cody, and we said, hey, what would be a good idea? Because I was telling her about this project, and she thought it was pretty neat. I said, hey, what if we did it across schools? So talked to Katie and Melanie had a 6th grade language arts teacher that was interested. So, I mean, there was a lot of work up front just to organize this and when can we do it, and you know, March is a great time. She got multiple copies of some titles and I had some, so, you know, we formed the groups, got the teachers on board. We went down to their school, Katie and I, to meet with Bill and Mel, and then they came up. So we had a couple of meetings ahead of time, setting things up, and then, so they had, perhaps in a book group, they would have 3 of their kids and we'd have 3 of ours, and it was the same thing, but the kids were talking across schools. It was fabulous. And not only that, we also involved the public librarians from Essex Free Library, Caitlin Corliss, and from Brownell, Kat. So they were facilitators for 2 of the book groups. So Caitlin would actually come to the middle school and when the kids met physically. So she was communicating with them online on the wiki as well as in person 3 days a week. So that was a three-week project.
The kids were, you know, because we're the town and the junction, and I don't know, there's this ridiculous rivalry between the town and junction, so they go to high school together, and then, so the kids were pretty excited about working now with kids from ADL and doing the reading. And then
with the public librarians, they serve the same children, you know, so it was a nice partnership of them seeing how we do school librarianship and vice versa, and then actually seeing the kids in this setting.
I said one of the good thing for me was that the teacher, Bill, really is a math and science teacher, and he's a language arts teacher for this year. So that left the control kind of to me, which is a bad thing.
Which she likes.
But it was easy for me to just go in to have somebody who didn't have the experience in language arts to say, okay, this is how, you know, I think we should set it up. And so he was very, very easy to work with. He was like, oh yeah, that sounds good, that's great, you know, thanks. And so it worked out well. The kids were very excited about having the discussion with another school online. And then ADL was kind enough to get a bus and come visit us.
At the end of the 3 weeks, we decided we would have a celebration. The kids could meet face to face. We had talked about trying to do Skype and so they could see each other before, but that just didn't work out. So they came. Every book group got into their groups and we had a discussion. One of the final projects was each group from both schools did a commercial or a book trailer for their books. So after that, we all gathered and watched the book trailers that we had. And then before ending, we got into what I call the circle of love. All the kids sat in a circle. And traditionally, we do this at the end of a wiki unit, and the kids hold up their book and they talk about it or they talk about their experience. And it's always really cool. And it was starting out like that, you know. What did we start up?
So it was really cool all the way down to that one you just
they were
can't
saying
see.
wonderful things about the wiki and the project, and you know, talking to kids from other schools, and we got about
Over there.
here. I guess we cut that.
Yeah, kind of.
We got about there, and you know, we had asked for feedback.
And,
So,
you know,
we
be
want to
honest.
know if we should do this again.
Not going to hurt my feelings.
So,
It wasn't fun. It was really kind of boring. And I thought, okay, I asked for it. I'm like, oh, okay. I said, well, what would you have liked? Well, I don't like the fact that you came up with the questions. I think we should have come up with the questions. All of a sudden, it was like this rumble through the whole
That's right.
circle, and the circle of love turned into the circle of, yeah, we should get to do it ourselves. Yeah, you know, why did you come up with the questions? You know, your questions, yeah. And I thought, ooh.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, fair
lesson
enough.
learned. Feedback can be deadly.
Yeah, but, okay, I heard you.
And so then we gathered together for a group shot, and in the back you can see our public librarians and facilitators from our schools. And they're smiling, so I think they really did enjoy it.
Yes.
Which led to, Whoops.
Beware of what you ask for, my dear children. So, at this time,
Another wiki.
One of my language arts classes was doing another project. It was a totally different thing, and then Language Arts 1 was doing the DCF. So it was, Language Arts 1 said they wanted student choice. So I announced it to them. Now this is just a page, this is a sample of pages within still the BookTrek wiki. I didn't create another one. So I said, I heard what you had to say, and it wasn't fun, and you wanted to choose your own books. I get that. You want to choose your own reading groups. You want to do your own questions. Here it is. Now is your chance. First group, they're like, all right. And I said, so, we had guidelines. You have to come up with assignments. You have to, make sure that you have somebody who's going to post the question, and you have to have the online discussion. And we went through the whole, yeah. Okay, they're all for it. In Language Arts 2, now who is totally unaware that this had ever happened, so I kind of briefly tell them, so your other class wants student choice. And I'm like, all right. And I said, so you're going to come up with your own question. What? No, we love your questions. Your questions are easy. And I said, no, that they asked for it. We didn't ask for it. We like your questions. Don't make us do it. And I said, I'm sorry. What one gets, everybody gets. So, and it actually turned out, it was very, very interesting. They got to decide who they were going to read with, and really some kids that you thought would never come together, but they liked the same books, paired themselves up. Some kids came up with an entire group of 6, and it was a variety, and so they had to have it done, by a certain point. And I said, I'm checking, and I'm looking for questions, I'm looking for participation like I always do, and they really, they rose to the occasion, and they did a wonderful job, and probably better than they do when it's my stuff. But would I do that in September? No way. No way. They've matured enough that at the end of 6th grade, they could do it. And
I'll have to say, this has definitely made me a better librarian working through this process, because I get to know on another level, having a relationship with these students in a school of 450 kids. You don't always get that, but so I see these kids a lot, and it builds. They see me in the hallway, and then we talk, and 7th graders and 8th graders. So it's been very beneficial for me, and I get to know them as readers, and I get to hear what they're saying, what they'd like to read, what their interests are. So it also guides my collection development when choosing books. So
and I do think that the connection that my students have with Kim means a lot. Really, you're not just the librarian who they have no idea, who you are, and they feel that it's one more adult that they can connect with in the building. And middle school, that's pretty important, that they know that people know who they are, and
it's you build this level of trust, because when a student comes into the library and says, "Can you help me find a book?" They're reaching out, and you so want to please them. But if you get to know them as readers, it's easy to say, "Hey, we got this new series. I think you'll like it," and they just take my word for it, and they go, "Oh, okay, thanks," and out they go. So.
Did you have a question?
I do.
Yeah.
So would you say, and I know that, your town is fortunate to have families who have internet access, whereas some of the backwater towns don't have that, and they don't go to the library either to get it. So would you say that having that conversation, that discussion thread on the wiki ramped it up so that kids were really enthusiastic, whereby before they might not have been as enthusiastic to discuss books?
Well, I think that what Kim said is some of those ones who don't want to speak out in a class, they feel like they're not going to say the right thing, or they're, they and everybody has a different piece or different opinion on a book, but they always feel like, oh, I didn't know, that's not mine, I'm not going to say. I think that has helped them just writing it, and they get, it's there, and nobody's right away saying, oh, that's not right. And so, I think that part has helped the discussion. And again, I use this to then facilitate discussion in class. Like, it's not like you just do it online and we never talk about it in class. And so,
and they have time.
Bring that.
They have time in school
where
there is internet access. They have plenty of opportunities to post on the wiki. It's not something they have to do at home at all. It's just.
Oh, yeah. No, I give them time in my class even
Yes.
that they can read and they can,
Yeah.
post at that point. But a lot of kids, they like to do it at home too.
And I get an email every time I just have it set up that way, every time something is posted on the wiki, and it's so funny to be in the grocery store on Sunday afternoon, and for some reason I'll just check my email and there'll be 4 posts from the wiki, so it's pretty interesting.
So, but no, I do give class time, and last year when we didn't have the one-to-one, I mean, that was an issue for some, and so they have
So
time.
I guess my question really is, did you lose anybody? Did you have any kids at all who just said, oh, I can't?
No, I
Managers,
get more,
They
the
liked
ones that are the reluctant ones, because the other thing is, they're also accountable to their group. And so if I'm, on it and there's 4 of us and 3 of us are doing it and you're not, so they came up with rules. And so first time you don't respond, you get to sit and listen. Second time, you have to leave. You can't be part of the discussion. If you didn't take the time to do it, then you can't be. And third time, you're out. You're out of the group. Because they said, we're all doing the work. We're doing what's supposed to be. We're supposed to be talking about it. If you're not going to do it, you're out. And so I've had this year nobody, because the second time, and then they're like, okay, I'm not going to do this on my own. It's not fun. So they'll come back. And I think last year or the year before, I had somebody and they were out of the group, so they had to do it by themselves. And they just wrote me responses. And, nobody wants to do that because you're all getting to talk about your work. And so, do they write stellar responses still? But they're at least participating and talking, yeah.
Are other teachers jumping on board for you, or inquisitive, or at least
Yes.
wanting to
I have,
mimic something?
yeah, we have a new, a teacher that moved from 7th and 8th grade to 6th grade this year, and she did a wiki and called it their ER. I forget what they
Emergency room.
I know, but it was emergency room. There was a reason for it.
It was
I can't
catchy,
remember.
and
It was
a
catchy,
good
so
book.
she came in a doctor's coat, and she had tongue depressors, and it was all this stuff. So they because she came to me and asked, and I said, well, our journey in this is, I went from that boring blah to really, you got to be up there and kind of entertain and get them hooked in and want to be part of this. And so if you come up with some hook, it works.
Yeah.
Because I can see science and social studies being a riot doing it this way.
Yeah. Anytime that you need a discussion, I think that this is just, and again, I'm not here, I don't get paid by PB Works, which I probably should at this point, but I like it. But there's wiki spaces, there's lots of them out there. I just like the organizational piece of it, and it is very easy for them to find their folder, find their page, and get into a nice routine of commenting. And I love the ones who come and say, oh, I typed in my comment and then I ran out of room, so I had to do another comment. I'm like, oh, I love you. Instead of I got 3 lines or 3 words.
So I'm hearing you talking, having done some wikis in different ways. Do you just have them comment on what you've posted, or do they actually have the pages where they put the content directly in?
Each book, I could show it. You can log on.
I'm not on the internet right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So each book has, it's in their folder. They have a folder. Let's say we're reading The Wizard of Oz. And so there's an assignment page, and then under that is that they can just comment, and they can, comment to each other, or just answer the questions and then comment within there. But is that answering your question? So
They're not actually creating a page and putting content on it. They're commenting
No,
on the content that you put.
Yes, except for the student one, and then they created the page, their assignments and their questions and all that, and that was theirs.
And when are you going to get into video responses?
I don't know. I did that. I took listened to Ryan Becker doing the Twitter thing. I was like, oh, that's a really good one too. The video.
That could be what's
Could be.
next.
It could be. What's
We don't
next.
know.
I mean,
That's-
hearing your voice on it and seeing the Star Trek piece, I could see students who wouldn't normally get excited about things might love being behind the scenes with, their development of whatever story or response to the story might be in whatever art
Right.
form they might be.
Well, and we do
using.
have when they made the commercials, the trailers, something like that, putting that on there and that being their final project, and I'm always.
We've had other final projects as well. We've had them do skits where they have to sell their book. We've had them do a variety of media. We've had a couple of groups do Google book mapping, where the journey in that particular book. So Gloucester, Wordles. So.
But I think the video piece, that would be.
Is your art teacher ever involved with any of the books?
No, I never.
I mean, I could see that
Coming
as
out,
one
you
more
know
piece
what?
of
You're giving
bringing-
us some great ideas.
Yeah, bringing the art
Yeah.
teacher in to, if you're having that kind of idea, then use her strength to say, okay,
Right.
here's
Yep.
medias that
Yeah.
you can use to create.
Sure. Yep. And we've had dioramas using some pretty elaborate clay
Yeah.
structures as well. So, I mean, it brings out, some of these students have such strengths and talents that you may not see otherwise, that we see using a format such as this. I don't know what the time is, but if anyone is interested, there is a handout in the back of the room. It just lists all the books that we've used in our wikis. I also just put a list of the read-alouds that we've had success with in our best 20 minutes of the day.
But
over the
I'm
past-
gonna just highly recommend Dead End in Norvelt. Oh my gosh, I have never had such reaction from these kids as you start reading, and I have one in particular. He's like, no, because Jack is always on that. He's like, no, I don't want to know, I don't want to know. And I read on. He's like, oh, okay, good. And so it is hysterically funny.
It's historical.
And it's historical, and they're learning a ton.
And there's a lot of
information.
bloody noses.
A lot of bloody
so
noses
It's a lot of
and,
high interest.
Dead bodies, but it's good. It's
It was-
Dead End in Norvelt, and
by
it's
Jack
really,
Mantos.
isn't it an autobiography?
Well, I think there are bits and
Bits
pieces
and
of it.
pieces. But it's about a town in Pennsylvania, and
In
grounded
1962.
for the summer, and it becomes just one adventure after another with an elderly lady in his town, and a guy on a tricycle. That's all I'm going to say.
And
It's
this
a
is
great
the
story.
this group has loved Read Aloud. This is the best group. They
Jack
will sit
Mantos.
and listen.
Yeah.
So I'll never give up. Even with all this technology, just sitting down with 10 kids in a circle and reading is.
Yeah, they love it. So, all right.
Very nice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.